I got good news and I got bad news. Morning, America. How we doing today? I got some good news and bad news. I figured something out, and I figured something out. One of them's good news, one of them's bad news. Good news is I figured out, I figured out why my electrical isn't working in the sleeper. As you know, this truck, I just put new batteries in the battery box down here on a Peterbilt, 379 anyway. On a lot of trucks. The batteries are right below the driver's door, okay? There's a box right here, and you got 4 starter batteries in there. And on my 07, you know, the one that wrecked, on the 07 had 4 starter batteries in there, and that started the engine, main engine, but it also ran the sleeper and all the, not the appliances, but all the lights and the TV and refrigerator and all that stuff. And it'd run for several hours, half a day, something like that, before you had to start the generator or the main engine to charge the batteries back up. Well, I couldn't figure out why. Every time I'd start the truck up, and the electricals work in the sleeper, but as soon as I shut the engine off, the lights would they start dimming and then they go out. And anything big, like the refrigerator on, it went out real quick. We're talking 5 minutes, 10 minutes maybe, you know? And even after driving it, when I drove it from Missouri all the way back home, after I shut it off, it just didn't take hardly any time. And once you shut the engine off, the lights would go out, the electronics would go out in the sleeper, and I couldn't figure out why. Well, I called ARI this morning, Legacy Sleepers. If you want to look them up, legacysleepers.com. It's ARI out of Shipshewana, Indiana. And I was talking to him and asking him what he thought, maybe troubleshooting, trying to figure out why this thing isn't working the way it's supposed to. And he says, well, what's your VIN number? And I gave him a VIN number. And you know, remember, they built this truck from day one, okay? Peterbilt built this. They ordered the truck as they needed it to put this big sleeper on it. So they ordered it with a hood and a cab, but no sleeper, but they already had the long frame. They had the fuel tank set in the right spot, everything, all the holes were pre-drilled from the factory. So when, you know, they knew what to order because they knew they were gonna put this sleeper on this truck, okay? So they ordered it the way they wanted it, put the sleeper on it, and then sold the truck as a brand new rig, okay? And you can take other trucks, just regular Peterbilts or Kenworths or any other truck, and what you can do is, let's say you already own the truck and you want to put one of these big sleepers on it. Well, you have to have the long frame to do this. So what you do is you take your factory sleeper off and then you'd stretch the frame and then put their sleeper on it, okay? I don't know what they would call that. One of their factory builds versus like an after build or a post build or something like that. I don't know what they would call that. But anyway, this truck was built by them. So I gave him the VIN number off this thing and he looked it up and he goes, oh, well, there's house batteries on this. I'm like, where? There's no place to put house batteries. And he says, well, a lot of times they put them under the passenger step. And I'm like, passenger steps? That's like this here, these toolboxes back here. It's just a toolbox, okay? And, you know, I went and test drove this truck. Let me get you on here for better light. I went and test drove this truck and looked it all over. I've had it since August. I've been farting around with it, opening it. I've never opened that box up. I never thought to. It's just a storage box. Figured to be empty. Well, you open it up and guess what? There's a battery in there. Yeah, it's one of them great big, I think they call them a D8 battery or something like that. A great big, really big, like a bulldozer style battery. And it's a deep cycle battery. So I'm sure that battery is plumb dead, won't hold a charge. We'll hold a charge for a little bit, but even the LED batteries run it down pretty quick. So if I think I'm gonna take that battery out and go into town and buy it, test it, of course, but then probably just buy a new battery, put it in there, and I'm hoping that will solve most of my electrical problems in the sleeper. So with that, I got other problems. This latch up here doesn't work. You have to be on the inside and use the deadbolt. I called him and asked him about buying one of these because I bought one for the other truck, their burgundy truck. And he goes, we're out of them. We can't get them. We can't get parts right now. The parts supply has been, the parts supply chain has been disrupted because of this COVID stuff and all the factories have shut down and stuff. He says they can't get them. He says you got a good chance maybe go down to an RV dealer and they might have one. I'm okay, so I'm going to try that. Also, this is the side box for the porta potty. It's inside. There's a cassette toilet in here, and that won't open. I can't get this thing to open. The key that I have just won't open it. I didn't get a whole lot of keys, but I got an ignition key and one extra key that's supposed to open the back door and the side door, and I think the cab doors. Well, it opens the cab doors, but it just doesn't open this one. And of course, like I said, this lock up here is just shot. It's broke inside. So I'm going to have to order one of these. He said that actually comes from Peterbilt. Oh, okay. So I'm going to have to order all that kind of stuff and get that fixed. Get this thing, see if I can't find that latch. Anyway, good news. I've learned a few things, how to fix things, and the main thing is that battery. I didn't know that battery was in there. So, the cows are bawling. All right, that's the good news. That's the good news stuff. I've figured out where my problem was. All right? At least I believe I have. All right, this is my other problem. This is the bad news. I built this whole box up. I sat in the truck, and I pulled this out and measured out what I thought would be about the right height, and I set it on the floor. And I thought, yeah, that'd be, sitting on the pad on the driver's seat, and I reached over, and that'd be about where I'd like to have my laptop. Okay, obviously I'm a lot lower here, but anyway, when you're sitting there driving, I like that laptop about right here. Okay, well, I measured out. I thought it'd be 24 inches would be about right. Well, now that I've got it, I took the box and I set it in there. And I got my laptop and I set it right there. When you lift the laptop up, it's too tall and it blocks my spot mirror on my passenger side mirror. Down below is a round, convex mirror. And it blocks that. I can see part of it, but to look in that spot mirror, I need to kind of look up. So I need to lower this a couple inches, okay? And then on the other thing is how wide it is. It's 24 inches by 24 by 18 inches deep. Well, I think when I measured that out, I thought, well, I'd get as big a box in there as I can. The problem is, when I put this back in there, slide it up against the back of the cab and over against the passenger door the best I can. I got my gear shift here. This is my handy dandy gear shift. My gear shift sits about right in here, okay? And the problem is when I'm going down a highway, I'm in 18th gear. I'm down here in the big hole. And the gear shift is right here. I won't be able to open the drawer very far, okay? The gear shift's kind of in the way. So I got to thinking, well, maybe I need to make this a little bit smaller. Well, I'd say it'd be about right in here, okay? Turn you here. I figured it'd be about right in here. Another thing is my briefcase. I like to take my briefcase and slide it in behind the desk, okay? Between the desk and the boot that goes between the cab and the sleeper, that accordion boot for a weather seal. And if I slide this forward a little bit to be able to put my briefcase right in here, now my gear shift problem is moved back here even farther, okay? It's even worse. So I'm trying to decide what to do. I think I'm going to tear this box apart. Well, I was thinking about, that's my oak top. It's going to be a nice, real pretty oak top on the top of this thing. I got to thinking, I could tear this apart, just shave, cut her down into smaller pieces and re-glue it all and put it all back together. But I've already made my drawers, okay? I've already made my drawers and they're going to be harder because everything's all, so anyway. I could do it, I guess, but I got to thinking, this is another problem I've got. And put this in here, the drawer in there, okay? So there's your drawers in here. I'll get you a little closer. Let you watch this little crack right here, okay? All right, I'm gonna shake this back and forth. See how much it flexes? I don't like that. It flexes too much. Well, it's because it's MDF and it's only 1/2 inch MDF. Now, the previous box, the cabinet that was over there, I bought, I think, at Staples, like back in 2008. And when did I wreck this truck? In 19? So I had that box in there for 3 different trucks over a 10 or 11 year period. So, it worked fine. And it was made out of MDF and it was wrapped in vinyl. It had black vinyl all the way around it, but it was made out of MDF. I'm kind of thinking it was probably 3/4 inch MDF, and this is 1/2 inch, and this 1/2 inch just isn't near as sturdy. For one, I think it's narrower, thinner material, but it's also a bigger box, so there's just more room for flexing and stuff. So I think if I made a smaller box, and I hate to tear this back apart, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go down and buy me some 3/4 inch MDF and come back and start from scratch and rebuild this. And I'll build this on out and make it a desk for, I don't know, in any other room or something, I don't know, somewhere. Just a toolbox of some type, maybe a router table can sit on top of it or something, I don't know. So I'll come up with some other use for this. So anyway, that's the good news. I found out the problems with the electrical in the truck. And bad news, I went through all the work to build this thing out, and it's not quite what I should have bought or built. So I'm going to start over. I'm going to start from scratch with this thing. So that's it. There, you caught up. So I'm going to run to town and get me some different material. So take care. Ciao. Bye.